As I said, I'm Satnam Sagoo. I have the honour, and I really truly mean it's the honour for being the Director of Learning for the British Red Cross. From those of you in the audience, I just wanted to ask you, what do you think the British Red Cross does? Any thoughts about what we do as a humanitarian agency? This one.
Volunteer their time.
Yep. Anybody else?
Logistically distribute aid where it's needed.
Yeah. So I think a while back we used to have a logo that we're across the globe and around the corner. We very much do a significant amount of work internationally, which you probably recognise, and we do also a huge amount through our domestic front. We are the brand that connects human kindness with human crisis. So before I start talking about how we got to rethinking learning, I just want to share some stuff with you about what we do as an organisation. So it's a short video around our work as the British Red Cross.
We work with the International Committee of the Red Cross, as well as the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. Here in the UK, every year we help over 9,000 people affected by emergencies, providing everything from sandbags and supplies to emotional support. And when crisis forces people apart, we help bring them back together. Last year we helped reunite over 2,000 refugees with their families. Each year we help nearly 70,000 people live independently, helping with things like getting them home from hospital. Or if they're lonely, we'll pop in for a brew and a biscuit. We also teach first aid to nearly 150,000 people a year, putting more lifesavers on our streets. All of this and everything else we do is down to one thing: kindness. Find out how we can help you share yours.
So that's a small about what we do as an organisation. As I said, our brand promise is very much about connecting human kindness with human crisis. And we do this for a footprint of 4,000 staff and 21,000 active volunteers. And by active volunteers, I mean volunteers who give us up to 35 hours a week. And then we have 40,000 light touch volunteers, and those are volunteers that will maybe work with us for a couple of days a year, work with us a few initiatives. So you can imagine, as a Director of Learning, the challenge we have to get learning to those 66,000 people. Our brand is very much based on 4 pillars. Our values are compassion, dynamic, courageous and inclusive. And what this promises us is that we very much start with the person, and we put the person at the centre of this. We combine our skills and care to achieve meaningful impact for the person in crisis. But like many organisations, we also have been challenged with change, and our people have felt overwhelmed. They felt somewhat disconnected from each other and from our core purpose. And in the world of learning and development, what that has meant is that they have felt they've not had the time to develop, learn or grow. And what I'm about to share with you is our journey in the last sort of 18 months of where we've been, and what has learning been, and what's the learning journey of that. So this is from our survey that we sort of staff survey that we did at the tail end of 2017, and this is the feeling that people were getting around learning. So you can imagine that when you see this data, you feel like, what will you do to address that? And in particular around developing and learning, growing our people. And by our people, we mean across the board, our staff and volunteers. We don't differentiate, because all of those are important for our service to continue. So as any good learning function, this is what we did. We bought a platform. We thought the platform would enable us to engage, enable, enhance and empower. And I'd like you to keep hold of those 4 E's that we've got there. But for those of you that are in the room, has anybody ever bought a home gym kit? Any gym kit? Any hands in the air? So, and you'll know that actually that's what a platform is, essentially. That's what a learning platform is. And in order for this to work, if you've got a home gym equipment, first of all, you need a significant amount of motivation. You need good nutrition, coaching, and you need some support. You need the people around you to support that. So I've got one of these or something similar, and it really dries my towels exceptionally well now. And you know, it's still occasionally, I think, round about when I've eaten too much at Christmas, I still go out and have a look at it and go, right. And the packaging on the box has got amazing stuff. It came with a chart as well that tells me how to do all these exercises, which I probably attempt every January for about a day, and then maybe that week I might do 2 sessions, and then it goes back to hanging towels. So for us, with like many organisations, this is what we thought would solve the problems that we had with our people, that we would give them that platform and they would automatically just learn, engage, and they'll be empowered. And I'm sure, like many of us, we've done the same thing, we've made the same mistakes. I joined the organisation just short of about 18 months ago, and part of this was understanding where we've got to. And this is not a criticism of where we'd been, this is just how learning has been. We get leaner because that's what the organisations asked us to do. So we go out and look for systems that will enable us to reach as many people as possible while we're still very lean. So at the beginning of this year, we started looking at really understanding what our learner wanted. And that's, as I said, across that portfolio, the 66,000. And our average demographic age is 70. Our youngest volunteer is 15, our eldest volunteer is 100. And we are a multi-generation organisation, so we're catering learning to everybody. And I was thinking of the demographics I have at home. My son is 17 and my mum's 74, and actually that's who I'm catering for. And the only thing they have in common at the moment is they can both use WhatsApp, and that's around about it, because my mum and my son will learn in different ways. So really we'd done this, and then we went out to ask our people what they thought of learning. And this is the best one. They actually thought, is there even a national learning function? You know, they were really asking us, do you exist? What do you do? And then there was limited evidence that the effectiveness of learning was actually working with our organisational priorities. We as a sector do have a high turnover just by the nature of the work that we do, but 35% is high for us, and we had 35% in year one. And when we had the exit data, and we collect a fair amount of that, it was predominantly people in the areas that were saying that they had no development and no career progression. And some of this is us learning about how we recruit, some of this is us learning about the journey of the whole people function and not just a learning thing. So a lot of it was asking us, what does that mean for us as an organisation, and how will learning support manage that journey for people joining the organisation? So we asked our people what they really wanted out of learning. What was the learning ask? At a time when we are dealing with significant amount of crisis, there's migrant crisis, there's economic crisis, destitution is rising, climate change. 10 years ago, the average disaster would be 40 disasters in a year. In the last 10 years, we've seen, and last year we saw up to 500 disasters in a year. And that's the group of people that we serve as an organisation. So there was a real need to enable real-time learning and learn on the go. We're actually all doing it. We're all doing it now. If you're using your phone and you're sharing stuff, you're actually learning right now. We were trying to teach people to learn in a different way, even though they could share stuff. So, if you're sat next to a colleague, and we were sat on a dinner table last night, and someone said, oh, you can scan this in your LinkedIn. You've learned something. We shared our profile today in the same way. So why were we still asking us to learn in a traditional way? So there's a way of how do I learn while I'm on the job, real-time learning, accessible tools, growth, tailored pathways. And I'm sure across the industries that I have in the room that you're probably hearing very similar stuff. But the one thing that came out more and more resonates with us is, don't treat me like an empty vessel. I come to you with knowledge. learn from me, I also have existing knowledge. So this is really about harnessing those existing skills. People are fluid, we move around and we pick up things, we learn from different organisations, and yet when you came to our doorstep, we top-loaded you with loads of information and loads of training because we deleted you like we wiped you out before. But people come to us with an existing amount of knowledge. So there's a bit about how do I transfer that? If I'm working for you, volunteering for you, how do I support you with that? And there's a real balance of getting technology and traditional methods. And most of you will know that when you go lean, you tend to go for that, or get that platform, and it will solve everything. And actually, there is that real need to have interaction, but people recognise that we have budgets, and they recognise that we can't get to everything. So there was a balance of getting that technology right and getting the methods right. We call this the baseline, and it really is about building the baseline. For me, it's no more about sending our senior people on massive leadership programs that cost us a lot of money if the baseline isn't right to have that trickle-down effect. So this is really about, for us, it was really about having a sustainable and equitable solutions that built the baseline. Now, what we already knew was that by the time that it finally trickled down to learning, it was too late. We came into a system which is very linear, and I came into a system which was very linear. So we were dealing with events that had happened in 2017 or pre that, and we were just about getting the learning out now. And I'm sure many of you in the room have been in that situation, that by the time it comes to you as a head of learning and development or director of learning, the event's gone, and the learning need was then, not now. So what is the point of us developing something that is already too late? But learning departments are their own kind of enemies in a way, because we still produce stuff in a very linear way. The average lifespan of a skill at the moment is about 3 to 5 years, and that's shrinking. So again, really rethinking how we were going to get there. By 2022, 1/3 of the skills we have in this room will be redundant. And really, what was our learner wanting? So our people were telling us that they could get resource, they could get courses outside, but they were dealing with too much information. And what they really wanted was a strong curated journey of learning so they could be supported all the way through. Now, this is something that we know and we tend to say we agree with, which is that statement that we don't need to respond to everything as a learning need. But I don't know how many of you are in the room, and I'm guilty of that myself, that when people come and ask you to develop something for learning, we automatically say, yes, I'll do it. There's a need for us to push back and say no, because not everything is a learning need. And it's for us to now think of our journey as L&D professionals about that curation, and actually maybe it's something that we need to give to comms, and maybe it's to other elements of the people arena. And my last one, which is almost my favourite one, which is digital solutions only work if you have a strong infrastructure. And for me, I think that's something, realising that actually what was happening when we were sending out these digital packs for those people, 20% of the building footprint, that facilities footprint that we have, doesn't have really great Wi-Fi. So actually, if you're turning up and we're sending you a digital solution, it's not working. No longer the blame is that it's not working, the Wi-Fi, it's your product that isn't working. And it's actually that realisation about what do we need to do. And your digital solution will only work if your infrastructure is right. We also felt as an organisation we'd become too linear and focused on too many things like 70-20-10. I'm sure many of you in the room know that, this wonderful equation. And for some it works and for others it doesn't. We became that's how we would learn, that's the only way we learn. But part of that is actually understanding that that equation is about blended learning and about how you choose to learn. So one of the things we really have done is sort of strip away those type of language, so it enables people to be free to learn how they want to learn. So we did a lot of soul searching, and it's been a somewhat pain journey at times as well. Many of the things that we tried to initiate didn't quite go to success. But we took all the knowledge we from externally. We've built critical friends, and from our service users, so the people that we support, as well as our volunteers, as well as our people, we've brought them together, and they act as a critical friend to the learning team and to myself. And together we built a vision of what we wanted our learning to be. So we wanted it to always put the person at the heart of our decision, always connecting the human kindness to human crisis. A brand that strives to develop all of us. Really to have a blended approach that was fit for every learner, and it's sustainable as well. That's really relevant. When we support the person in crisis, we want them to have a sustainable future. So our packages should also be something that is sustainable and equitable across the organisation. And we wanted it to do through a networked way. We are a small national team, and that's not a bad thing, but we want to approach it in a way that we've got enough knowledge. No longer are we going out to saying, you know, we're going to procure, we're going to look within as well. We have a lot of people who give us time and are experts in their own fields who can bring that to us. So we've gone out and sought from our people the skills that are already there that we are not utilising. And then we were rethinking where we stood as a team, and we built ourselves, or we're starting to build ourselves around key functions as opposed to sort of mini teams. One of the key functions that came out was business partnering operations, and this is a fundamental part for us as an organisation. We sit in the people sphere, we have people, we're dealing with all aspects of the HR journey as well as learning. But there was a real need for L&D to be part of that conversation, to be part of that at that top table. Yes, they had recognised that having my role at senior leadership was important, as well as so that we could have that voice there. But this allows us to be at every top table in the organisation. So every directorate will have an L&D person from the national team, understanding them, supporting them through their L&D requirements and their journeys, bespoking them and tailoring it for their needs. So we are split up into many directors, and many of you are. Finance and what we do operationally isn't going to be the same. So why would we want to give them the same offer? This is about having that presence and building something together with them. Quality is imperative, but how do we measure that? So we're looking at those really key figures around what does the organisation want for us from return on investments around our metrics, but also using things like engagement scores to be able to provide that. So not everything we're going to measure. We're measuring some elements, but some elements we will look at other scores as well. One of the things I felt when I was going out to meet the people in the services, the people on the ground, was please, I still quite like going to training. And on a personal note, I still actually enjoy being in a training course at times. And one of the things was don't take away that. Don't take away the core delivery. Because I still enjoy being there. I still enjoy networking. I enjoy meeting my colleagues. I enjoy learning about cross services. So we are retaining a core delivery, but we have revisited many of our models and looked at how we really encourage that blended from a sort of top and tail version of blended learning with some concrete cores in the middle. We've also been looking at management leadership, as everybody does, but really over the last 18 months, one of the things we've done is think about what's important at that baseline. What's important for the ground to be able to us to manage and support the person in crisis the most. And of course our key function will include digital. So I'm sure many of you are doing this, but we've really highlighted that this is what we want to do, and this is where we want to start as our key function. And so far the appetite has been going quite well for that, and actually having that inside knowledge from the business has been very imperative. So we've started from the very beginning. We've been working with our colleagues across the people journey, and this is our kind of new induction timeline. We were asked to build a significant amount of learning for onboarding, because they say, you know, once we recruit someone, it might be 3 months before they come in, build something. And actually we didn't. We pushed back and we said no, because we've got enough content out there And in those 3 months, how much content do you want to give that person? But we've got several things that we do as an organisation, not just as a British Red Cross, but as our global partners as well. So we do a lot of signposting at that very early time. Our induction is based on 3 factors: looking after yourself, supporting others, and knowing your organisation. And those have been fundamental to us, about really getting people to know that we care. We want you to be able to look after yourself, and that's prevalent, because without looking after yourself, you won't be able to support others. We've taken that sort of airline analogy, you know, you put your oxygen mask on first before you help someone else, and that's been working really well for us. And this is very much a journey in making, and we're building on that. We're bite-sizing it, but we're building it over 12 months. So for us, our induction timeline is 12 months. And after those 12 months, you go into development. Because what our people were saying to us was that we join a service and you're top-loading us in the first 6 months. It's, you know, I'm in the classroom so many times. Globally, if you're a volunteer for any of the Red Cross or Red Crescent societies, including the British Red Cross, for you to be in the service that you wanted to volunteer for, it can take you 6 months. And we're learning from that, because people want to be active now. They don't want to be active in 6 months' time, and we lose a lot of people during that time. So this is really about us listening to that voice and going, what's really important? You'll do that in your first week, and then through the 12 months, you'll build that through. We gave them accessible tools. This is a really good teams and leadership tool that we're using. It allows you to do your 360s, it allows teams to do games locally, and the uptake has been really good. I love this word, social learning. I'm sure all of us, before it was social learning, used to learn socially. We still do it, but obviously social media has been an influence on the way of the platforms we use, so our platform is based very much around the way of learning from those social media points. We don't emphasise it enough, because we say to people, you already learn socially. So this is a tool that will enable you to enhance that. And ultimately, the biggest strength of all is networks. We are very much around about communities of practice, about sharing that, bringing those people together. We still bring our network together every quarter, which we share our experiences from the ground, from what we're doing across all the services. So where are we now? As I said, this is really about a kind of 18 months shot of where's learning been, what was there before, what's our journey. So we're very much at the point that we have a brand, and our brand is simply this, that we are developing our people to meet the needs of those in crisis. The journey so far, and I think this is kind of quite pivotal, because if you're looking for return on investment, in the work that we've used from our digital social learning, we were able to increase gift aid by 48,000. And that's primarily because people were using it to share the way certain shops were looking. So actually, our retail teams were using it around displays and sharing that knowledge with each other. So they were learning without me or my team having developed any content. They took that platform and were actually sharing that with themselves. So they were already using that kind of real connective social. And what we gave them was a platform, and what we gave them was a few tools around that and how to do good videos. We got people promoted who felt really connected, and they were in the face-to-face direct coursing. People just really enjoyed what the learning's been for them and how it's been unique to them. So I think it's been really good for us to see this feedback, in particular for the team, as we are constantly changing and we are transitioning to new models all the time. We're still retaining our 5 functions around sort of the areas that I mentioned, because that's part of our transition, and those functions will remain whether they shrink or grow, but those functions will remain with us for the foreseeable future. So really, what are our next steps for us? It's going back to those E's that I mentioned at the beginning, which is that we will continue to engage, and engaging with all our people in the way that they want their learning to be. This is about having a choice about how you want learning to be. We'll continue to enable. we want to enhance. So this book is what the Red Cross First Aid Manual used to look in 1918, and now you can get it as an app, and you can use that on your phone, and you can support first aid learning from that. Our biggest aim is to continue to empower, but we always want to do that with the person at the centre of it. For us, it's pivotal to have the person in crisis always at the middle of our thoughts, always at the heart of our learning. And they are the bits that grow us, so they will always be at the centre.